wrestling and fight. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sit here rather, and I'm going to talk about it. So we have Gareth coming up on the show, and then a little later we talk to Cairo, actually. And we're talking about a topic that I have been saying that we're going to explore, and that happens just to be the following, the organic following that happens on social media when it comes to taking a look at extreme fighting and the championship. And why is it that everybody finds it so fascinating? It's almost like the Kardashians, right? Okay, it might have been a really bad analogy, but it is that, isn't it? It was like you follow and you look and you watch. And I think it's the same sort of excitement here in the sport where it's just like, okay, it's not about makeup. Maybe it is about makeup sometimes because you've got to cover up those scars. But I digress. It's about the interest of the sport. It's about what it serves. It's about the excitement around it. It's even for me, the diluted form that many might step back and go, this mixed martial arts also. It's like, can you just kind of stick to one discipline? But it's so many of them intertwined that I guess that's what makes the tapestry and the beauty for it at the end of the day. So all of that and more is coming up on the show today. It's not the Sports News, the Wednesday edition. And remember, we're interactive. So please go ahead and follow on TikTok, Insta, YouTube, Omni Audio, Africa. On Facebook, it's Omni Audio. And please, I see all the comments. Please keep them coming. Keep them alive. I guess keep them spicy if you so want. But we really love interacting and seeing just all the love. And I guess saying something different because we're all allowed our own opinions, right? So let's talk about this Betway Prem yesterday because I for one, am not too sure what happened or what is happening, or is it just the start of a season and no one can predict anything at the start of a season, right? Because it's literally the start. The last one is now behind us. We've had some off time, pre-season time, and now we're trying to find our feet. There's new players that come into the fold. There are new coaches that come into the fold. There's new philosophies. It's about technology as well, that plays a part. It's so many things that need to come together to gel well in order for a team to be able to, move together as a unit, if you would. So I think for me, as I take a step back and think, okay, it's not about just the teams that we think who are going to win, who are winning, because the Pirates went down to Gallants by 2-1. And there's somebody with me here who is extremely upset by this today. He hasn't even spoken other than good morning. And then he's come into the studio and he sat down and he's got everything going for today's pod. He's a part of the pod squad, but today, man, he's got mumps for days. Siwelele, who came out very confidently, remember the copy and paste from SuperSport, but nonetheless, and Orbit College also wanting to stamp their authority as the newbies in the league, and I like that. The newbies who have to survive, I really love when it is that they just get that confidence that they need in order to get the season going. So I'm liking that for them. I'm here for that and very happy for them. And then a Mamelodi Sundowns and an AmaZulu. So beating AmaZulu by 2-0. But I don't know. I also still think I expected way more. And AmaZulu were not walkovers yesterday. That is for sure. So, I'm not judging anybody at this point. I'm not judging coaches or players for that matter. I'm just sitting here on the sidelines observing because also we're not even a week into it yet. So, yeah, and until some momentum has been gained, I'm just saying, look, it's interesting. It's very interesting. And it makes for interesting talking points and for better stories. If it was that a Pirates were just about to sweep clean, or an Orbit College didn't win, or a Mamelodi Sundowns didn't win, I think we'd be telling different stories. So I think let's just give them time. Let's ooh and ah here from the sidelines and come here and share what it is. I come here and share what it is that I think. But I think until we're about a month in, I'm just going to sit and observe and take a look at how things are going. To give you the fixtures today, it's Golden Arrows, Richards Bay. Kaizer Chiefs are playing. They're up against Polokwane City. Magesi and Stellenbosch lock horns. A red card for Stellies the last time they were in action. Durban City and Chippa United, Skokune United, and Tia's Galaxy. Galaxy going to want to do something there to turn their fortunes. And yeah, so that is what it is that we can expect, yes, today. And with that said, we are now going to change our focus and we are going to talk about Dricus du Plessis, the man who has put South Africa in the spotlight, and a man who, I mean, come this weekend, it's going to be all eyes on him once again because he is defending a title. And we've got Gareth Soldier Boy McClellan, retired professional MMA fighter and two-time EFC middleweight champ and former UFC athlete. On the line, Gareth, a warm welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Always good. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Please tell me, how did Soldier Boy come along?
I don't know. It's just, I think it was a nickname that was given to me by my training partner in the days, and just something that stuck with me along. Kind of molded myself around in terms of my training and competition space. Obviously in war, as a soft mistake, you are great. So I kind of used that same.
Our line isn't the greatest, Gareth, but while we try from our side to fix that, if on your side you could also just try perhaps moving in a direction for a little bit of better reception. But you were saying Soldier Boy. I mean, it's something that you've taken and you've adapted and worked with. Did you like it? Did you like the nickname?
Repeat that again?
I said you liked it. You liked it enough to keep it and mold yourself around that nickname, Soldier Boy?
I think it's just fun part of who I am as a person. Just apply myself in direction the same.
I tell you what, we're going to try and get Gareth back on the line. Let us try actually to go to Cairo. Can we do that, Mdu? Just so that we are clearer, because I think we're going to have a really good conversation with Gareth. I don't want to skip a beat there when it comes to anything. And obviously, as I said, UFC crown this weekend against Khamzat Chimaev, and that is Dricus. He is fighting, so I want to know all the details there. But we did talk about just the interest, the interest in the sport and how popular it has become. Why has the sport become so popular? So the EFC president, that's Kyra Harworth, he says in just 3 months, EFC has exploded across digital platforms. 400 million views, and that is on videos. It gives me goosebumps, actually. 400 million. That is an insane number. And so what makes it so interesting? Is it the fight that makes it interesting? Is it how you land the blows? That's interesting. We hear from him as to just the surge and what it is that he says is the reason why EFC on social platforms is blowing up.
The beautiful things about social media is you can see exactly where people are watching from. It's instant data for us. And our biggest market from an audience point of view for our EFC content is in the USA. So that is our number one audience that is viewing and consuming EFC content and following us. So certainly what we love about the UFC and what they've gone and done is they've created a global demand for mixed martial arts content. They are the pioneers of the sport. They're the leaders of the sport, and they produce an amazing show, and they create this global demand. But frankly, they undersupply it. If you think about it, they're only putting on 40 shows a year. That's 40 live UFC events a year, which is not enough to sustain, frankly, the billion fans, MMA fans that are around the world. So there's this huge demand for MMA content. It's being undersupplied by the UFC. It's also the UFC has it all behind paywalls. So if you want to watch MMA content like the UFC's, you're generally paying to watch that. It's on a subscription service or somewhere as paid television. So we are supplying good quality mixed martial arts content, great fights, really exciting. up and coming athletes. People are looking for it to see who the next global superstar is, coming out of Africa. And really, it's relevant to MMA fans around the world, whether you're in the States or in Africa or in Asia. You want to watch a great fight, you can go onto EFC's Facebook page or YouTube or onto our TikTok, and you can watch great content. And we're really seeing it's getting amazing traction across the board. That's 400 million minutes and video views in the last 90 days on our social media. So it's not, which is a very short time, so I call it 3 months. And it really just shows the global demand for mixed martial arts content, for good mixed martial arts content, and also the kind of the global spotlight being on African MMA, following on Dricus, and just the hype around the sport in general, and the hype around the sport in Africa and African athletes. We're seeing that across all of our metrics, and social media is the easiest way, most demonstrable way to see that. We're just hitting huge numbers across all of our platforms, from Facebook to TikTok to YouTube. It's very exciting. Dricus was, he fought for EFC. He had his first professional fight with us when he was 19 years old. Built his way up, became our champion, became our double division champion, and then got signed to the UFC. And now he's obviously champion of the world with the UFC. So if you're an MMA fan, you're watching Dricus and you're going, geez, where did this guy come from? And he came from EFC. That's effectively, what we're seeing. So these MMA fans around the world are now seeing how good Dricus is, how good these African athletes are. And in the past, they have been African-born champions, but they've always gone and lived overseas. They've trained in Europe or trained in the States and lived in the States or in Australia or New Zealand. So there hasn't been, until Dricus, there hasn't been an African-born athlete that lives in Africa, trains in Africa, and just flies over to the States or wherever the fights are just a week or two before, has a fight, and then flies back home to Africa. And this is where all of his training happens. This is where his coaches are. So Dricus is the first. Africans are the best, can be the best in the world. We can compete on a global level. We don't need to leave Africa and go live somewhere else in order to get the best training, so to speak. So it's really opened up doors for other African athletes, and it's really shown the other African athletes on our roster. EFC's got, call it 200 athletes that compete for us, and they train with Dricus, or they've seen him, or they've fought against him in the past, or they fight against his training partners, at every EFC, and they go, geez, if he can do that, living here, training here, becoming a world champion, I can do it too. So it's really changed the mindset for all of our athletes. It's been phenomenal to see what he's done. Just changing the mindset for African athletes to say, I can do this. I can be the best in the world, living here, training here, competing here, and then really, going over and winning at UFC. So it's been phenomenal what he's done. Very interesting. It actually all came about in COVID lockdowns, actually. So in that time, so back in whenever that was, 2020, beginning of 2020, we couldn't put on live shows anymore. But we had a full production team, and content from the past 12 years that we had on our servers from all of our last events. So we said, okay, well, we can't do live shows, so let's take our content and chop it up in the right formats for YouTube, for Facebook. We started actually with Facebook. We said, well, what's the biggest platform in Africa? And it's Facebook. So we said, right, let's take our fights, let's make them nice highlights for Facebook, right size, right length, and let's get them out there, because this is what we can do. And we started doing that, and our numbers just started to fly, like really massive numbers. I mean, one video ended up getting over 300 million views on it, and that's a lot. Like 300 million is a lot for one video. And we're talking, not when I say a view, a lot of people they look at social media numbers in a bad way, and they say a view is 3 seconds. Oh, that counts as a view. Yeah, it can do, but our views are over a minute long on average. We're getting like 3 minutes watched at a time. So when we talk about 100 million minutes watched, we're talking about 100 million minutes watched out. We're not talking about 100 million 3-second views. So we got great traction on Facebook. Then we started doing the same on YouTube. Now we're doing the same on TikTok. So obviously every platform's got its own way about it, if I want to call it that, different formats, different lengths, different way to position the content. But we are very fortunate in that people love watching great fight content. So it's the type of stuff that people watch on their phones. It's the type of stuff people share. It's the type of stuff people comment on. So again, most companies and brands, they spend money on platforms like Facebook. You know, Facebook for them is a marketing tool. So they go onto Facebook and they pay to boost a post and to try and get traction and to try and get an audience. We're the opposite of that. We create this great content, we put it on organically, it gets shared, it gets commented on, it goes viral, it flies, we get 100 million views, 10 million views a video, blah, 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 blah. It goes out. We actually earn money from Facebook. So Facebook, YouTube, all these things, we're content creators effectively. So those platforms, we're not paying to get traction on those platforms. Those platforms, we're getting traction organically on all those platforms, and then we're getting paid by those platforms as part of it. But even bigger than that, it's we're getting our brand out there to so many people, and we're getting our brand, and then we're getting our athletes out there to so many people. So you fight at EFC, all of a sudden your video is getting 50 million views. That's 50 million people in the world who now know your face, your name, how exciting you are as a fighter. I mean, that's considered famous. Some 50 million people have now watched something with you on it and your face. You know, like that's it, overnight, instant kind of stardom, if I want to call it that. And then when you're in the fight business, when you're an athlete wanting to compete, there's two things you need to do. One, you need to fight well and win, obviously. But two, you need to promote yourself and build your brand, because the bigger brand you are, the more you're going to earn, the more fights you're going to get, the higher profile fights you're going to get. So, like, think the Conor McGregor, think the Muhammad Ali, think the Mike Tyson. Yes, they won, but they've also promoted themselves well and built their brands well. And so now you fight at EFC, all of a sudden your video is going viral with 50 million views, 100 million views. You're globally known in the fight community. Fight fans around the world now know your name, know your brand. So other fight promoters overseas go, hey, I want that athlete, because I'm watching a video with 100 million views with that athlete. I can put them on my fight card and get more people interested in it. So our athletes are benefiting in a huge way from the so-called virality, if I can call it that, of our content. So these 400 million views in 90 days. Yes, EFC's brand is obviously benefiting from that, but the athletes that are in all of those videos are benefiting from all of that. And then on top of that, our partner brands, because EFC, we obviously work with different brands, so they pay us to get built into our content, and effectively we're content producers. We work with a brand like this is hydration drink, Knox Hydration. They pay EFC puts their branding into the show. That branding is now going viral on all of the social media. They're getting 400 million minutes. And that's 400 million people watching the content for a minute each with Knox branding and all of our partner brands built into it. There's huge value for them. I mean, it's literally massive. So the athletes are winning, EFC's winning, and EFC partner brands are winning. So and that's just our social media. We obviously have television and everything else that goes with it as well. But we really do love the fact that our content does so well on social organically. We're not paying to get it out there, because that's the best way to get your brand out there, is when people want to watch it and they're actively sharing it, and we're not incentivizing them to do it. We're not running competitions. We're not doing anything like that. We're just going, look at this awesome fight that happened last week, and people are watching it and sharing it. So yeah, we're in a very fortunate position. Our reach, our value to sponsors. So if we talk about, different sponsors look for different things, but one part of it, obviously important, is the value that they're going to get. So they're going to pay X amount, they want to reach X amount of people in a certain way. So that value, if you look at what we offer from a television broadcast point of view, if you look at what we offer from a social media point of view, in my opinion, there's no sport or entertainment property in Africa that offers the value that EFC offers. From you pay X amount and you get X amount of audience. And I'm talking engaged audience and all that type of stuff. So the values is there. And obviously this helps, but almost more than that, nowadays brands, what we find is they want something more. They want the authenticity, they want the story, they want the brand, a really nice connection. They're looking for more of that. And previously that was, I would say, quite difficult with mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts was always seen as, in South Africa, talking up until 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, it was kind of seen as like a second-tier sport. So in South Africa, there was always like rugby, cricket, and football. If you're a brand manager, marketing director, and you sponsor the Springboks or a rugby team or a cricket team or a soccer team, your job's sweet. You're not going to get in trouble. Like, you're doing an easy job, and you're doing your job, but you're not taking any big risk there. You're doing your thing, right? But if they sponsored an MMA event like EFC, she's all of a sudden it's a bit more risque in their world. There's a harder conversation. There's that brand association that the sport had in reality. But we're again super fortunate what Drickus has done. Frankly, he's changed that narrative, that perception completely. And Drickus is now seen like a Springbok. And really, like, you see him with the Springboks, you see the Springbok, and he's and like you said, he's with the South African flag, and he's embraced the country, and the country has embraced Drickus like a Springbok. And all of a sudden, that has made the sport like rugby. And we've seen a complete perception shift from where mixed martial arts 3 years ago used to be seen as a second tier type sport to now it's the same as rugby. It's literally, and a lot of that is attributed to Drickus. A lot of it is attributed to, as time goes on, the sport just continues to grow, more mainstream. More people are growing up watching it. More kids are doing jiu-jitsu, and so it's just getting bigger every month. But Drickus certainly pushed it forward, a big jump forward on that regard. So that brand association now is actually positive, which is great. So we've seen a big. Yes, our job has got a lot easier getting brands excited about working with EFC and mixed martial arts than we were 3 years ago. It's been amazing. Like, really amazing to see the kind of brands that are coming into the sport, getting behind the athletes, getting behind us as EFC. And it's only going to get bigger and better from here because our value is there. It's not going to get smaller. Our audience is just growing, which means our value keeps growing and more brands are getting involved. And as one gets on, then the next one gets on. So yes, our life is much easier now from a commercial point of view than it was 5 years ago. And the next 6 months will be bigger and better, and it's just going to keep growing from there.
You might want to put Omni there as well, please, Cairo, asking for a friend. But it's really nice to also just hear the recipe of success on social media. What is it like, the spin-offs that they have? And at the end of the day, sponsors are happy. But then again, it is the athletes that get that traction. We are talking about a big weekend. It is indeed, because Drickus du Plessis defends his UFC crown this weekend against Khamzat Chimaev. We've got Gareth again. Let's hope the Gremlins have left our line. But Gareth, I mean, will Khamzat's undefeated record survive his toughest challenge yet this weekend?
Yeah, look, question so far, it's going to pan out. Khamzat is a professional athlete who has he's worked really hard to himself in a good to contender, but Drickus he's just a different type of athlete. I don't think we as South Africa really understand the level that he is in about. It's the great division. His name will ring.
Mm-hmm.
He managed to get the W. He's a man fight face before.
Sorry, Gareth, the line is not the greatest there. But, I mean, you were saying that we don't quite understand what type of an athlete Drickus is. Describe that to us.
Yeah, look, he's a phenomenal athlete. His intelligence is massive. He's in terms of that, he just and develop at a rapid rate, almost on the spot. It's just a remarkable thing to watch.
And I mean, do you think, I guess we are being biased, but that already we can see a win here on the cards if you had to weigh these two athletes up and put them on a scale, pound for pound against each other?
Sorry, if you could.
I'm just saying, as much as we are in Dricus's camp, though, we're probably preempting as South Africans that he is going to win. But it's not as cut and dry if it is that you take these two athletes and weigh them up against each other.
Look, as soon as you get to that level,
So
it becomes and
our reach,
those exchanges
our
on
to sponsors. So the different sponsors look for different things.
kind of
one part of it.
point of the fight in the direction is supposed to be
they're going to pay X amount. They want to reach X amount.
Guys, at that level, that just how it goes on. Can pressure. Can you execute your game plan correctly? Who is more dominant? Who is able to have their way in their plan? I mean, both fighters go in with a plan at the end of the day, and it's just all about who can execute that better, or generally points it in the direction. But you just get certain individuals that are special in a certain way, and they're able to just find a way to win, and that's exactly what Dricus is.
I mean, the mind games also in the week, do you think that they play also a very big role leading up to such a big fight, trying to get under the skin of
it's warfare
your opponent?
everywhere, and the battle is always part of warfare. Dricus he's really been one of Khamzat's weaknesses is that he struggles with the emotional side of it, and that plays out often because the chaos created in. I think if Dricus uses that correctly, it could play an important factor.
How would you say, obviously, the result from this weekend will shape the middleweight division's future and potential super fights?
Obviously, Dricus wins amongst his elevated to a different platform, and then as a whole in South Africa, as fans, just get another big name. I mean, we think that he is going to be have the kind of impact that Conor had but in a more positive format. And then, look, I mean, it opens him up to options. He can then decide what type of fights he wants to take and the challenges that he faces.
Yeah, indeed. The line is not the greatest, Soldier Boy, but thank you very much for your insights ahead of this fight. Hoping to get you back on the line post this fight as we dissect it all. And that's a wrap of Not the Sports News, the Wednesday edition. EFC taking the spotlight here. And good luck to Dricus, as Gareth has just said. He doesn't think that we quite understand just the magnitude of this fight, of this particular athlete as well, who has really made South Africa proud, and best of luck to you, Dricus. We're right behind you. Don't forget, please do follow us. Let us in on your Betway Prem predictions. I'm looking forward to that because Grumpy here in the studio, as I said, is just no happy people here today. No pun intended. We're back on Friday. Till then, cheerio.
The sports news is Romy Titus and her guests covering the world of sport from football to athletics, cricket, rugby, UFC, and Dambe wrestling. Live weekdays on omniaudio.africa, 8:30 a.m. Central African Time. Romy Titus is South Africa's leading face and voice on all the sports stories you want to hear about and talk about. Also live on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Omni Audio Africa.